Hello, and welcome to the Nocturnal Astronomer. This is a place for quiet minds and deep thinkers. A space for anyone who has found that the scale, the mystery, and the wonder of the universe has a way of making earthly worries feel smaller. I am Atlas Reed, your guide through the cosmos this evening. Tonight, we turn our attention to something a little different. Not a distant star or a spinning galaxy, but the relationship between our small spinning world and the vastness that holds it. We will talk about how the worries that fill our news, our conversations, our restless minds measure against the age and size of the cosmos itself. It is, I think, a gentle kind of relief. Let's dive in. Part 1. The universe's very long history. Scientists studying the faint glow left over from the early universe, gathered by the Planck satellite, have calculated its age at roughly 13.8 billion years. That number is so large, it barely means anything at first. Let us slow down together and try to feel its weight. Imagine every year of your own existence as a single grain of sand. Now imagine gathering enough sand to reach 13.8 billion grains. You would need mountains of it, more than any beach could hold. That is roughly how long the universe has been quietly unfolding around us. Against that kind of span, a single election cycle, a single headline, a single argument that felt so urgent yesterday barely registers as a heartbeat. Not because it does not matter to us here and now, but because the universe offers a wider frame to hold it in. The stars you might glimpse tonight, if the sky is clear where you are, existed long before any government, any border, any debate we now consider pressing. They will likely still shine long after those debates are forgotten. Their quiet permanence can be a strange kind of comfort. There is something reassuring about borrowing the universe's patience. It has never rushed. It formed galaxies over hundreds of millions of years, without hurry, without alarm. Perhaps our own worries, held against that patience, might soften just a little, the way a tense shoulder softens with a slow breath. Consider our own human history within that span. Farming began roughly 12,000 years ago. Writing appeared around 5,000 years ago. Compared to 13.8 billion years, the whole of civilization sits inside a moment so brief it barely leaves a mark on the timeline. If we shrank the universe's full history into a single calendar year, human civilization would appear only in the last few seconds before midnight on December 31st. Every kingdom, every uprising, every headline you have ever read would occupy less than the blink of an eye. This is not meant to make our existence feel unimportant. It is meant to offer proportion. The anxieties that circle our minds late at night about politics, about the state of the world, are real, but they are brief, set against a cosmos that has patiently unfolded for so long. Geologists and astronomers who study these timescales often describe a calm that comes from working within them. When your unit of measurement is billions of years, a difficult week, or even a difficult decade, starts to look less like a permanent condition and more like a passing weather pattern. So tonight, if a worry about the wider world is sitting heavy in your chest, you might borrow a little of that geological patience. The universe has outlasted every hardship it has ever faced, quietly, without struggle. It will keep outlasting them long after tonight's worries have faded away. Part 2. How small we truly are. The observable universe stretches across roughly 93 billion light-years from edge to edge. A single light-year is nearly 6 trillion miles, the distance light travels in 1 year at its remarkable, unchanging speed. Multiply that by 93 billion, and the number stops feeling like a number. Here is a gentler way to hold it. If our entire solar system were shrunk to the size of a coin, the observable universe would stretch far beyond what any map could show, further than any journey we could take in a lifetime, or in 1,000 lifetimes strung together. Earth itself, the whole of it, the mountains and oceans, and every border we have ever drawn upon it, would not register as a visible mark on a map of that size. Every nation, every capital city, every contested line would vanish into the same tiny point Earth occupies. There is a well-known photograph taken by a spacecraft leaving our solar system, looking back toward home. In that image, Earth appears as a pale, faint speck suspended in a beam of light. Everyone who has ever existed has lived out their entire story upon that single speck. When I think about how small our planet truly is against that backdrop, I find it strangely settling rather than frightening. The disagreements that can feel so large from where we stand shrink considerably when we remember how much of the universe exists entirely outside our small shared speck. Think of the loudest political argument you have heard this year. Now picture it happening on that same pale speck within a single nation, upon a single continent, on a single planet, circling a single ordinary star among hundreds of billions of stars in our galaxy alone. Proportion changes everything. This is not a call to stop caring about our shared home on Earth. It matters because it is the only home any of us have ever known, But scale can loosen the grip of anxiety, reminding us that most disagreements are temporary weather within a small, fragile, shared space. Astronomers sometimes describe a shift that happens when people first truly grasp the size of the universe. Worries that once felt enormous begin to feel more like ordinary human weather, passing through rather than permanent fixtures. The sky does not shrink our problems away, but it does soften their edges. Even our own galaxy, home to hundreds of billions of stars, is only one among many billions of galaxies scattered across the observable universe. Within that framework, a single nation's news cycle, however loud it feels this week, this year, or even this decade, occupies a portion of existence too small to measure meaningfully. So, the next time a headline tightens your chest, you might picture that pale speck, suspended and small, and remember that the universe holding it has never once asked to be part of the argument. It simply continues, quietly, indifferent, in the gentlest, most reassuring way. Part 3. Countless stars across the sky. In the 1990s, astronomers pointed the Hubble Space Telescope at a patch of sky that appeared completely empty. No stars, nothing visible to the naked eye. They left the camera open for many days, gathering faint light. What appeared afterward changed how we understand the universe. That seemingly empty patch of sky, once revealed by Hubble's long exposure, turned out to hold thousands of distant galaxies, each one containing billions of stars of its own. A patch of sky you could cover with a single grain of sand held at arm's length contained that much. Later measurements, including work from the James Webb Space Telescope, suggest the observable universe may hold somewhere between 100 billion and 2 trillion galaxies in total. Numbers this large stop being countable in any real sense. They simply become a gentle, humbling kind of wonder. Every one of those galaxies formed and continues to exist entirely without knowledge of us, without concern for any argument happening on our small planet. There is something quietly comforting in that indifference. The universe does not need our worries to keep unfolding, and it never has. When the sky feels distant and difficult to imagine, remember that even a patch you could cover with your smallest fingernail holds galaxies beyond counting. Political noise fades quickly next to that kind of abundance. The universe has room for far more than our daily troubles could ever fill. Our own galaxy, the Milky Way, is thought to hold somewhere between 100 billion and 400 billion stars, each one its own sun to whatever might orbit it. On a clear, dark night, we might see a few thousand of them with the naked eye, a small fraction. If you tried to count every star in the Milky Way alone, one per second without stopping, it would take you thousands of years just to finish counting our own galaxy. And our galaxy is only one among countless others scattered across the observable universe surrounding us.
There is a certain calm in numbers this large. When something feels overwhelming, an argument, a headline, a fear about tomorrow, it can help to remember that hundreds of billions of stars are shining above us tonight, entirely unaware, entirely unaffected, simply continuing to burn as they always have.
The stars above you tonight have burned through wars, through the rise and fall of every empire ever known in human history, through every election and every hardship that once felt permanent to the people living through it. They kept shining regardless, patient and unmoved, the whole time. Perhaps that is part of why looking upward feels so quietly settling. The stars do not ask us to solve everything tonight. They simply continue, as they have for billions of years, offering their steady light as a reminder that most of what worries us will pass gently in time. Part 4. Stars last longer than we think. Our Sun formed about 4.6 billion years ago, and it has enough fuel remaining to keep shining for roughly another 5 billion years before it changes dramatically. That means our star has already spent about half of its long, steady existence quietly warming our small planet. When the Sun eventually uses up its hydrogen fuel, it will swell into what astronomers call a red giant, growing large enough to reach past the orbit of Mercury and Venus and possibly Earth itself. But that change is far in the future, difficult to feel worried about. 5 billion years is longer than the entire history of life on Earth so far. It is longer than every empire, every war, every treaty, every headline that has ever felt urgent to the people reading it. The Sun's slow, steady burning will likely outlast every worry we carry today. After the red giant phase, the Sun will shed its outer layers gently, forming what is called a planetary nebula, a soft, glowing cloud drifting outward. What remains behind will be a small, dense core called a white dwarf, quietly cooling for what may be trillions of years afterward. There is something tender about that ending. Not sudden, not dramatic in the way headlines describe endings, but slow, gradual, almost peaceful. The Sun's story reminds us that even the grandest things in the universe tend to change gently, gradually, rather than all at once without warning. A white dwarf, the quiet remains of a star like our sun, no longer produces new light through fusion. Instead, it simply cools slowly over an unbelievably long stretch of time, sometimes calculated at trillions of years, before it grows dark and faint beyond detection. To put that in perspective, all of recorded human history spans roughly 5,000 years. A white dwarf's cooling process may take 1 trillion years or more, a span so much longer that human history would repeat itself 200 million times over before that star finally faded fully. Some stars, far more massive than our Sun, end their story differently in a sudden, bright event called a supernova, briefly outshining an entire galaxy before scattering their outer layers into space. Even that dramatic ending seeds the space around it with the elements future stars and planets will need. The iron in our blood, the calcium in our bones, much of it was forged inside stars that finished their story long before our Sun ever formed. In a very real sense, we are made from pieces of stars that came before us, quietly woven into everything alive today. When I think about how long stars last, and how gently most of them fade, I find it hard to stay anxious about headlines that will not matter in even 100 years. The stars have a patience that puts our fastest news cycles into a strange and gentle proportion. Part 5. Earth's Deep and Quiet Past. Earth itself formed roughly 4.5 billion years ago, gradually gathering from dust and rock swirling around our young sun. Scientists divide that long history into what is called the geological timescale, breaking billions of years into eras defined by shifting continents, climates, and forms of life. Within that timescale, the era we occupy now, sometimes called the Holocene, began only about 11,700 years ago, after the last ice age eased its grip on the planet. Against 4.5 billion years, our entire era is a genuinely brief, recent addition. Mountains that seem permanent to us today, the Himalayas, the Rockies, the Alps, rose slowly over tens of millions of years and continue shifting even now, too slowly for us to notice within a single human lifetime. What feels fixed to us is, geologically, still quietly in motion. Continents themselves have drifted across the globe many times over, joining and parting in patterns scientists call plate tectonics. The borders we draw on maps today are almost impossibly young in comparison, sketched onto a surface that has rearranged itself completely many times across Earth's long history. There is comfort in remembering that the ground beneath our feet, has already outlasted so much. Every border dispute, every political movement, every headline about the state of a nation sits atop rock and soil that has quietly witnessed changes far larger and far slower than anything news can capture. Farming, often considered the beginning of settled human civilization, appears in the archaeological account only about 12,000 years ago. Writing systems followed several thousand years later. Against Earth's 4.5 billion year history, our entire civilization sits within the final sliver of a very long day. If Earth's whole history were compressed into a single 24-hour clock, humans as a species would appear in only the last few seconds before midnight. Farming, cities, every government we have ever known would fit inside a fraction of a second at the very end of that day. This is not meant to diminish what we have built together. Cities, language, art, cooperation across great distance, these are genuinely remarkable achievements. But holding them against Earth's deep past can offer a kind of quiet relief, reminding us how young and how temporary our current worries truly are. Every political system humanity has ever tried, monarchies, republics, empires, has risen and eventually changed or faded, usually within a few centuries at most. Earth simply continued turning through each transition, unaffected, indifferent in a gentle way, offering the same sunrise regardless of who governed beneath it. So when today's headlines feel permanent, remember that Earth has already outlasted governments beyond counting, and will likely outlast whatever feels urgent this week as well. That is not a bleak thought. It is closer to the quiet reassurance a very old, very patient friend might offer. Part 6. Our Galaxy Among Countless Others. The Milky Way, our home galaxy, stretches roughly 100,000 light-years across, a spiral shape with curling arms of stars, gas, and dust, slowly turning around a dense center. Our Sun sits in one of the outer arms, a fairly ordinary location within this vast structure. It takes our Sun, along with Earth and the rest of our solar system, roughly 230 million years to complete one full orbit around the center of the Milky Way. The last time we were in this exact position, dinosaurs had not yet appeared on Earth. Within that single galactic year, human civilization has not even existed for a single day's worth of the journey. Every political movement, every headline, every argument we have ever had has occurred within a fraction of one lap around the center of our own galaxy, and nothing more. At the center of the Milky Way sits a very dense region, home to a black hole with a mass millions of times greater than our Sun. Though it sounds dramatic, it sits quietly at the core, calmly holding the galaxy's structure together, far too distant to affect us directly. Knowing our galaxy's true shape and scale can feel disorienting at first, but many people find it becomes something closer to comfort. We are travelers on a slow, patient journey around a calm and steady center, one that has continued regardless of whatever concerns occupy us today. Roughly 2.5 million light-years away sits the Andromeda Galaxy, our nearest large galactic neighbor, itself home to roughly 1 trillion stars. The light reaching your eyes tonight, if you could see it, would have left Andromeda long before any human civilization ever began. Astronomers calculate that Andromeda and the Milky Way are slowly drawing closer together and may eventually merge somewhere around 4.5 billion years from now. Given how gradually galaxies move, this meeting will unfold over hundreds of millions of years, gently rather than suddenly. When two galaxies merge, the stars within them rarely collide directly because the space between stars is so vast. Instead, the galaxies pass through and around each other slowly, gravity gradually reshaping their spiral arms into something new over a stretch of time longer than humanity has existed. That future merging, sometimes described by astronomers as a slow, gentle dance between galaxies, will not concern anyone living through today's headlines. It offers a strange kind of comfort, a reminder that even galaxies take their time, unhurried, unbothered by anything happening on a small planet nearby. If galaxies themselves can afford to move this slowly, perhaps we can allow ourselves a little more patience too. Not every worry needs solving tonight. The universe rarely rushes toward anything, and there is a quiet wisdom in borrowing some of that unhurried, patient pace for ourselves. Part 7. Light from long ago to night. Light travels at an astonishing, unchanging speed, nearly 186,000 miles every second. Even at that remarkable pace, light from our own sun takes about 8 minutes to reach Earth. Everything we see in the sky is, in some sense, a small window into the past. When you look at the moon, you are seeing it as it appeared over 1 second ago. When you look at the sun, you are seeing light that left 8 minutes earlier. The farther a body sits in the sky, the further back in time its light was born. Starlight, visible tonight, may have left its source hundreds, thousands, or even millions of years ago, traveling quietly through space this entire time before finally reaching your eyes. Some stars we still see tonight may have already changed or faded long before their light ever completed its journey. This means the night sky is not really a single moment at all. It is a gentle patchwork of different pasts layered together, each point of light arriving from a slightly different stretch of time, all meeting quietly above us at once tonight as we look upward together. There is something calming about that idea. The sky itself is proof that time moves slowly, patiently, that even light, the fastest thing we know, takes its time crossing the distances involved. Nothing in the universe seems to feel any urgency, and perhaps that patience can be borrowed. Astronomers often describe telescopes as time machines because looking further into space always means looking further into the past. The most distant galaxies we can detect show us light that left billions of years ago, long before our sun, our Earth, or anything familiar to us existed. The James Webb Space Telescope has captured light from galaxies whose glow left its source more than 13 billion years ago, not long after the universe itself began. We are quite literally watching the early universe unfold in real time through light that has traveled for that entire stretch. When we study that ancient light, we are not just gathering facts about faraway galaxies. We are catching a glimpse of the universe's own early history, a kind of cosmic memory patiently carried across unimaginable distance, arriving gently, all these billions of years later, into our instruments. Knowing that the sky holds this much patient history can shrink our own worries in a gentle way. If light itself is willing to travel for billions of years without hurry, perhaps our own struggles do not need to be resolved immediately. Some things simply take the time they take. So, the next time you glance upward, remember that you are looking into countless different pasts all at once, each beam of light having travelled patiently for its own long stretch of time. Whatever feels urgent tonight will likely feel much smaller by the time that same light reaches somewhere far. Part 8. The oldest glow we can see. In 1965, two researchers named Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson detected a faint, steady hiss of microwave static coming from every direction of the sky, using an antenna originally built for other purposes. At first, they assumed it was a flaw in their equipment. After ruling out every possible source of interference, including birds nesting in the antenna, they realized the static was real, and it was coming evenly from the entire sky at once. What they had found, without quite realizing it yet, was leftover glow from the universe's earliest moments. This faint microwave glow, now called the cosmic microwave background, formed about 380,000 years after the universe began, when it had cooled enough for light to travel freely for the very first time. It has been drifting through space, cooling gently ever since that moment. Later missions mapped this faint glow across the entire sky in remarkable detail, revealing tiny differences in temperature that eventually grew into the galaxies, stars, and planets we know today, including our own small, quiet planet Earth. That ancient glow surrounds us constantly, in every direction, filling the space around us tonight, just as it fills the space around every star, every galaxy, and every headline that has ever felt urgent. It is the oldest light in existence, and it asks nothing of us at all. Studying that faint glow has taught astronomers an enormous amount about the universe's early shape, its age, and how it has grown since. Tiny, gentle differences in temperature, smaller than a fraction of a degree, eventually became the seeds for every galaxy that would ever form. It is strange to think that something as ordinary as the static once mistaken for bird droppings turned out to hold the oldest available account of the universe's own beginning. Sometimes the quietest, most overlooked signals carry the most patient, most far-reaching history behind them. This glow reaches us from every direction equally, meaning wherever we stand, wherever any headline is written, wherever any argument unfolds, the same ancient light surrounds it all evenly. The universe does not favor one nation, one movement, or one moment of anxiety over another. It simply, gently surrounds everything. There is a kind of fairness in that. The oldest light in existence does not care about borders, elections, or the news cycle. It has been quietly present since nearly the beginning of time, offering the same steady backdrop to every human worry that has come and gone beneath it. When the world feels loud, it can help to remember that underneath all of it, literally surrounding all of it, sits this ancient, gentle glow, older than any headline, any nation, any argument. It has been patiently present the entire time, asking nothing, offering only quiet, steady company. Part 9. Mostly empty, endlessly quiet space. Space despite how full the night sky appears, is overwhelmingly empty. If our sun were shrunk down to the size of a basketball, the nearest star beyond it would sit thousands of miles away, with almost nothing but quiet, empty space filling the distance in between them. Even within our own solar system, the distances involved are difficult to picture. If Earth were the size of a marble, the Sun would sit roughly the length of several football fields away, and Neptune, the outermost planet, would sit many miles further out still, past that same marble. Galaxies themselves are mostly empty too. Though they contain billions of stars, the space between those stars is so vast that if two galaxies were to pass through each other, direct collisions between individual stars would remain extremely rare, simply because there is so much quiet room between them. This emptiness is not something to fear. It is closer to a gentle kind of spaciousness, the same feeling you might get standing somewhere very open and quiet, far from noise and crowding. The universe, at its core, is mostly calm, mostly still, mostly patient, empty space. When our own days feel crowded with worry, headlines, and argument, it can help to remember that the universe itself is built mostly from quiet, open space. Fullness and noise are, in cosmic terms, rare exceptions. Emptiness, stillness, and quiet are by far the more common condition of existence. Earth occupies an almost impossibly small share of the space available to it. Even within our own solar system, our planet is a small, rocky world orbiting a fairly average star, itself one among hundreds of billions of stars, within one galaxy among countless billions of others. If you tried to walk across the full scale of the observable universe, using Earth as your starting point, you would need to cross a distance so vast that even light, traveling at its full unchanging speed, would need tens of billions of years just to reach the far edge. Every political border ever drawn, every disputed territory, every headline about who controls what, exists entirely within that single, small, rocky world, itself a tiny fraction of a solar system, itself a tiny fraction of a galaxy, itself a tiny fraction of an unimaginably vast, quiet universe. There is something almost tender in how small our shared home truly is. We share this one small world together, circling one ordinary star, drifting through one arm of one galaxy, surrounded by more empty, quiet space than any of us could ever fully picture or comprehend. So, when the news feels too loud or too heavy, it can help to remember how much quiet space surrounds our small, shared planet. The universe offers room to breathe, an enormous, patient, mostly empty backdrop, gently holding our small, occasionally noisy corner of existence within it. Part 10. What awaits the universe ahead? Astronomers who study the universe's likely future describe a process unfolding over trillions of years, far slower than anything we could witness ourselves. Stars will continue forming for a long stretch yet, though gradually the raw material needed to build new stars will slowly become less plentiful. Eventually, over an unimaginably long stretch of time, the most massive stars will finish their story first, followed slowly by smaller, longer-lasting stars like our own sun. Even the smallest, slowest burning stars, called red dwarfs, are thought to keep shining for trillions of years before fading. Galaxies themselves will continue drifting apart from one another, carried by the universe's steady expansion, a process scientists have been measuring since the work of astronomer Edwin Hubble nearly a century ago. Over enormous stretches of time, galaxies beyond our own neighborhood will slowly grow too distant to see. None of this will happen quickly, or within any time frame that could reasonably worry us today. These changes unfold across trillions of years, a span so much longer than human civilization that comparing the two barely makes sense. The universe simply continues patiently at its own steady, unhurried pace. When scientists describe this distant future, they rarely describe it with alarm. Instead, there is often a quiet, almost peaceful tone to how they explain it. The same tone you might use describing a long, slow sunset. Endings, even cosmic ones, can unfold gently, gradually, without any hurry at all. Knowing that the universe has this much time ahead of it, trillions of years still to unfold, can offer a strange kind of steadiness. Whatever feels urgent in tonight's headlines will likely be forgotten long before the universe even begins to reach the later chapters of its own story. Political anxieties, though they can feel enormous in the moment, exist within an extremely brief window measured against a universe old enough to remember a time before Earth, before our sun, before almost everything familiar to us today. That does not make our worries meaningless, only smaller and lighter. There is real relief available in that shift of scale. Not because our daily existence does not matter, but because holding it against something so vast can loosen its grip a little. The way a held breath finally softens once you remember there is room and time to simply exhale. The universe has never once needed our permission to continue. It has quietly persisted through every war, every election, every headline humanity has ever produced, and it will likely persist through countless more, long after tonight's particular worry has faded quietly into whatever comes next for all of us. Perhaps that is the gentlest gift the night sky offers, not an escape from our days, but a wider frame to hold them in, one patient and steady enough to make our loudest arguments feel softer, smaller, and a little easier to set down for the night. And on that note, I want to thank you for spending this quiet stretch of time with me tonight. If the scale of the universe offered even a small measure of relief from the noise of the world, then this time together has done exactly what I hoped it would. The cosmos is not something to fear. It is something closer to a quiet companion, vast, patient, and entirely unbothered by the arguments that can feel so large from where we stand. Our daily worries, held against something this old and this wide, tend to soften and settle and grow just a little easier to carry. Thank you again for joining me here under this same old sky that has watched over every worry that ever came before yours. Until next time, sleep well and let your thoughts drift outward, gently, into the quiet dark above us.